Hello and welcome to episode 166 of the Mouses Makes Knitting podcast. I have actually done some knitting this week. But before I talk about that, I'm trialling a new hairstyle. The tutorial said all you needed was a scrunchie and a small elastic band. I've also got dry shampoo and about 20 bobby pins in there. I'm not convinced it's for me. There will probably be hair fiddling during today's episode. I will be fiddling a lot. I've also had a message from someone who said that they really enjoy my content, but they can't watch because they can hear me breathing a lot. Now, I'm not offended. I fully understand that, because I can't watch podcast if someone is swallowing their drink noisily. So I get it. But I just wanted to explain, I do breathe a bit noisily because I have an enlarged thyroid. And it is kind of like getting in the way a bit now. But I'm resisting having it zapped with radiation. So I am sorry if it's off-putting for you. I am a bit of a breathy person anyway. I sigh a lot and so I am sorry. If it's annoying you, I can't really help it. A bit like the croak, I can't help that either. Okay, knitting. I'm so sorry. Lost my train of thought. Belinda's Baubles and I are running a make-along for encouraging us all to finish up all our leftover works in progress from before the 1st of January 2025. There is a thread open, well, there are two threads open on both the Mouses Makes page and the Belinda's Baubles page. You can chat in both. You can enter finished objects in both. In fact, we encourage you to do so. If you can't use Ravelry, you can email your entry to either Belinda or myself, or both of us. I am mousesmakes, make sure to put the S in the middle, at gmail.com. So it's mousesmakes@gmail.com. And Belinda is Belinda's Baubles at gmail.com. So it's quite easy to remember. Sorry, cat distracted me. Did I need to say any more about that? You will need to watch both podcasts because we're both drawing prizes from both threads. So Belinda's already drawn for January, and she drew from her thread and mine. And later this month I will be drawing from my thread and hers. So, another cat, I'm sorry. We're not going to say when we're making the draws, because really the only benefit that we get out of these make-alongs is it encourages us to work through our old projects, but also it hopefully bumps up our subscriber numbers. We don't make any financial gain from podcasting, either of us. In fact, it costs us money. So if it seems a little unfair to ask you to watch both, that's why. Sorry, one of the cats is mine, my big old lady Lily. And the other cat that's around out there is a little black cat who might be my grandcat, Arabella, who belongs to my son and his wife, who live a little way up there. But even if it is, Lily will fight with it, so I'm just keeping an eye, because she's an old lady. I told you they'd be fiddling, didn't I? My fringe. I'm sorry, this is a knitting podcast. I followed another tutorial for knitting my fringe, if only. And that didn't work either, and now it's a funny shape, and I've just got to wait for it to grow out again. Where was I? Talked about the make along. I was going to tell you what I'm wearing. This is a Breezeway by Fogbound Knits. I knit it in 2021. It has the distinction of being both the first fingering weight garment I ever knit, and also the first in the round or top down garment I ever knit. As such, it doesn't fit terribly well. I have since learnt that I'm much better with a raglan than a round yoke, but I do still wear it because I like the colours. You can only see the grey at the top, but it fades down. Sorry, I'm not going to flash you. Fades down to this turquoisey colour at the bottom. And it was also the first time I'd knitted a faded sweater. When I made this, I'd been knitting for probably over 50 years. I'm a lot older than I look. And I've done intarsia, colour work, all sorts of other things, but I'd never done this. And in fact, we were talking about this the other day, my friends and I. One of my friends has only been knitting for sort of 3-4 years, and she does stuff that I consider to be quite scary and advanced, like complicated lace work with beads in it, which is something that I would balk at trying now. And she has never knit a bottom-up garment in pieces, which of course, until I knit this, was the only way I'd ever knit anything. So it's funny what you consider to be easy and what you consider to be difficult based on your own experience. That was like the general gist of the whole conversation. Anyway, shall I show you some knitting that I've done earlier? No, not earlier. Closer to now than 4 years ago. Just keeping an eye on my lily cat. I finished all my projects for January in January. I finished a tee, a blanket, you've seen both of those, and I finished my 2 pairs of socks for January. This was the first one. These are for Dave. They are just vanilla to the recipe that I use for Dave and for Peter. They have exactly the same sized feet. Although Dave is 6 foot, he's shrunk a bit, 6'2", and Peter is 5'10". They share the same foot size. This is West Yorkshire Spinners Owl for the main fabric, and West Yorkshire Spinners Cinnamon Stick for the heel and the toes. And I entered these into Amanda from Little Lycac's Soxy and You Know It make along for January. Dave has been hopping up and down, no pun intended, waiting for these because he loves his hand knit socks. He is very, very knit worthy in that respect. He wears them pretty much every day. So he can have those tonight now. He will be happy. I've also got another pair that I'm knitting for him, but he doesn't know about these. I'm hoping he doesn't watch this. This is another pair in West Yorkshire Spinners, and I only have this much of the first sock so far. This is Pheasant, I think. Let me have a look. Oh, Mallard, I beg your pardon. Oh, good catch. Yeah, this is Mallard. And the colours in this are absolutely lovely. Did you hear that? I think Lily and the black cat have found each other. The heel and toe on this pair I'm doing in some of my own hand dyed. It's a leftover. I dyed up a skein for Vertices Unite that I did in 2023, might even have been 22, as part of my Stephen West Marathon. And I didn't use very much of this colour, and it's come in very handy for heels and toes and sometimes cuffs. It's his birthday at the end of the month, so I want to get those finished for his birthday. They're not part of my planned knitting. I also finished this pair. These are for me. These are Stephen West's Dancing Droplet socks, and this pattern should continue down the top of the foot, but I knew it would just be uncomfortable in shoes, so I just kept it to the leg and then stocking stitched the foot, heel flap and gusset again. I didn't follow the pattern for this. I did for the leg, obviously, but I just knit heel flap and gusset. I mean, this, I don't have any of this written down. It all just comes out of my head. I know the numbers for their socks and I know the numbers for my socks, so I just do them. I regret a little bit that I didn't do a contrasting heel and toe on these. I do prefer that look, but I didn't. The yarn I used for this, and I'm going to bring it closer so that you can hopefully see the colours. I've just remembered something I used to do. Hang on. Does that work? Maybe. This yarn is from the Advent. It was day 25 and it's Sunrise from Glastonbury Tour. Turn you back again. And I entered these into the Socks Along, which is being run by Alice from Socksy Nana Alice and Diane of My Pink Bathtub. These are going to get put away. I saved a box. This really nice box with a magnetic closure was what my Blue Fern Yarn Advents came in, and I thought that's a perfect box for putting my Socks Along socks into. So Dave will be having his, mine will be going into there. I've cast on 2 new pairs because it's February. And what I've done is I've wrapped up 12 striping yarns and put them in a drawer. And I think there were 11 not striping yarns. And I've got them in a bag over there. And on the 1st of every month, I'm getting Ewan or Dave to pick one from each. So this month, today is the 4th, so I got them picked on Saturday. Today's Tuesday. And I've got this far already. This pair was the not striping socks. Actually, I'm going to borrow one of these blockers. It would just be so much easier. I've done this before and tried to put the blocker on the wrong way round. In, up the sock, not down it, if you see what I mean. So let's try. It's tricky when there's not much sock. Ooh. Sorry, I'll be with you in a second. Just like think about something else for a minute. Okay. Are we in? I think we are. There we go. This yarn is Snuggly Stars yarn, and it was a birthday gift, I think, from my friend Sarah. And the colourway is Inspired by Wales. That's literally what it's called, Inspired by Wales. And it has some lovely, lovely colours in it. So I chose, okay, as well as having all my sock yarns, not all my sock yarns, there are very many more up there, as well as having a selection of sock yarns wrapped up to choose randomly each month, I have got a list of sock patterns that I want to knit. and I get to choose one for the non-striping yarn. All the striping yarns I'm just doing vanilla. There may be one exception to that rule, but we'll have to see. There's a what are they called? I can only think of Twin Peaks, and I know that's wrong. It's Joe and Rachel. You all know who I'm talking about. One of them designs socks and the other one designs shawls. They're twins. And I cannot think what they're called. It'll come to me later. Yes, they've got a self-striping sock pattern that I want to use for one of the yarns when one that's suitable comes up. But this yarn is being knit in the Drippity Dropper pattern by K.F. Jones of the Bakery Bears, which is a very, it gives you what looks like a very intricate texture, and it's a very simple pattern. It's a 4-row repeat, and once you've been through the 4 rows, you don't really need to look at it again, or at least I haven't done. It's full of beautiful colours, which I'm hoping you can see, all the different lovely colours. And I couldn't decide what contrast I wanted for heels and toes. So I've picked this, which is West Yorkshire Spinners Sour Apple, and this, which is Drops Fable and is a lot more green than it looks there, 109. And I'm going to do the heel and the toe, and then possibly on the other one the heel and then the toe in the green. I don't know yet. I might just be neat and tidy and keep the heels and the toes the same colour on both socks. But yes, so Saturday night I cast this on and I knit the whole leg, and then on Sunday I put in the heel flap and turned the heel, and I've just done the first row of the gusset, but you can't really see that. So enjoying those, recommend that pattern. That's in my Star Wars bag from Amelia X Joy that I bought a couple of years ago and had somehow worked its way down to the bottom of my box of project bags. So I fished that and this one out. This is my Star Trek one, again from Amelia X Joy. This doesn't have its handle at the moment because I dunked it in my drink and had to wash it, and it's now on a radiator drying. This is the striping pick for February. And it's one of those yarns that sometimes I look at it and I think, oh, I love that. And other times I look at it and I think, oh, God, that's a bit garish. So I'm a little undecided. I've got a feeling that the contrast yarn will make or break it. The yarn itself, and I'm going to get the label so that you don't think I'm just translating badly. It's an opal yarn. It's called Hunderwasserswerk. That's like the range. And this yarn is called Who Has Eaten All My Windows? And I'm going to show you the label to prove that's not just me. Can you see it there at the bottom? I assume, from the little picture there, I assume it's from an artwork or inspired by an artwork, and that's what the artwork is called. Yes. So for this one, This is the leg complete. These are also for me. The leg is complete, and so I'm ready to do the heel flap and gusset, and I've chosen this colour because it picks up. There's just like a couple of stripes in there. I don't know if you can see them. There and up there. And this is again West Yorkshire Spinners in turmeric. So this is one of my favourite colourways from West Yorkshire Spinners, and I'm hoping that that will make me enjoy the rest of the sock a bit more. If not, they'll just be ones that I wear in shoes, under jeans, and I won't have to see them very much, will I? But as I say, sometimes I look at it and I think, oh, I love that, and others it's a bit like, oh, I'm not sure. It was this bit, I think. That was the bit. Oh my goodness, how awkward can you make this? That bit there was the bit that made me think, I'm not sure. Peter would wear them. Dave would not. And I've paused without putting the heel in because I don't know whether to make them into a pair for Peter instead. I might have enough to do one for me and one for Peter, using a different contrast colour, because that might be a bit girly. Peter is my oldest son. If you've not been here before, he will be 33 this year, which makes me feel ancient. But he is also very knitworthy and does enjoy a pair of knitted socks. So that's all my finishes for this week and my new cast-ons for this week, because it was time for new socks. I'm not going to be casting anything else on for a few weeks until there are rumours of my friend Tonya having a cast-on party. And because I'm trying to work my whips down, I was at 29 when I finished the socks, but of course I've cast 2 pairs on, which is going to happen every month. It's going to be finish 2, cast 2 on. So that takes me back up to 31. But I'm hoping very soon I will be down to 30. Because I have also been working on this blanket that you are probably very fed up with seeing. This is a mitered square blanket, knit in my birthstone yarns from last year. And I think I'd done that row when I saw you last week, and since then I've put these 2 in. So that's October rose quartz and November citrine. So I only have 1 square left to put in, and it is this one, which is blue topaz. And then this blanket is finished. I'm not going to put a border on it. I want it as a throw on the back of my chair in the living room that I can just pull down and put over my legs when I get chilly. And I don't want to put a border on because I may add to it in the future. And I would rather not have to unpick a border in order to do that. And the edges are quite neat. So I'm just going to leave it be. Once that square is in, that's it, it's done. I picked this for February's. I should probably explain that as well. Every month, as well as my 2 pairs of socks, I'm picking a garment whip from my wall of shame and a blanket whip. But for February, I picked 2 blankets because I started kind of halfway through January. I finished the January blanket and then I picked this one, and it's kind of sister blanket, which was my favourite blanket by Kay Jones. And I'm knitting that. I did each month a variegated and a tonal. This is the variegated in here, and the tonals are going into the other blanket. The other blanket is going to be for Dave. So I've done a few rows on that. I haven't bothered to bring it to show you because it's literally a few rows. It's been next to my bed and I've done a row or two if I can't sleep, or, you know, if I'm awake early. So once I've finished this, I've got the rest of February to finish that, and that I am on July. So I've still got August, September, October and November to go into that one, and December. So I'm much further behind with that one. Probably because I wasn't enjoying the knitting of it as much as I was with this. Because with this, you start off with a large number of stitches and they get smaller, so your rows get faster. With that, I'm on the middle section where your rows stay the same. So it's quite a long row. I'm struggling through it a little bit, but I will have it finished by the end of February. And then I have already picked, because I'm a bit naughty, already picked the blanket I'm going to work on in March. So if I finish my February blankets early, I can get started on the March one. And I might as well tell you now, the March one is the blanket that I was crocheting squares for all of last year, and then had intended to put together for January, but some things happened that were out of my control. I didn't get all the yarn that I needed to have it done in time to do that. So I've still got, I think, 35 squares to crochet up. I think I've changed my plan for the blanket. It's all going to be a thing. So that's going to be March. I'm going to get that done in March, and then I can get on with picking scrap blankets. And I think there are 2 other blankets that I can finish, and the rest are scrappy. And I've got some that I want to cast on. But yes, blanket whips are coming down. There were 11, there are now 9. So I'm achieving my goals so far. I know it's only the first week of February. And does this say? Yes, week 6 of the year, and I am proud to say that I have achieved my goals. Knitting wise, I have almost achieved my goals in not buying yarn. I did use some Wool Warehouse vouchers that I got for Christmas, but I have spent money on cross stitch charts, and yes, that brings me to the subject of cross stitch. You know how people say they've fallen down a rabbit hole? This is not a rabbit hole. This is like some gigantic borehole the size of the Channel Tunnel that a mad scientist has made to work his way down to the magma at the core at the centre of the earth. That's what I've fallen down. It's not a rabbit hole. It's that. I have rediscovered an old love and rekindled a passion that had been apparently smouldering quietly. So I've decided what I'm going to do, because it's got a bit out of control and I've got to kind of rein myself back in with it. Towards the end of this month, I'm going to do a completely separate cross-stitch episode, so that knitting people who don't want to hear about the cross-stitch don't have to, and knitting people who also enjoy cross-stitch can watch that. Then I don't have to torture the rest of you with it. I cross-stitched for many, many years until I needed new glasses and couldn't do it anymore. And so I'm going to show you some of my old work and some of my new work and some things that I hope to do. But yes, Denise from Dear Designs takes the full blame stroke credit for that, depending on your point of view. So yes, that's that. Right, I don't think I have anything else to talk to you about. I'm just having a look around. I have cast on something else, but I'm not counting it as a whip, and it's not cheating. It's because it's going to live in my handbag. This little bag came with an Advent Moonlight Fibre. I had the Advent in 2022, and the whole of Advent I did Vlogmas. I had to stop because I wanted to call them Moonflower Yarn, and it's Moonlight Fibre. I don't know why. I have a massive mental block. This little bag came with the Advent, and it's perfect for my handbag. So I've literally just cast on the cuff of a sock tube that's going to go in there, and I'm going to knit the leftovers from Dave's Christmas socks that were the West Yorkshire Spinners Robin. There's a little under 40 grams there, and I'm using, this is West Yorkshire Spinners turmeric again for their heels, toes and cuffs. But once I've done the cuff, I'll take this ball out. It'll just be that one. I'll just knit the tube, and that with a 9-inch circular takes up no space in my handbag. And then I've always got knitting with me for appointments or waiting for people, or you know, whatever. Because like a lot of us, it's a bit like my safety blanket. I have to have some knitting with me, because God forbid I should be stuck somewhere with nothing to do. The idea fills me with dread. So I must have some handbag knitting, and that's going to be perfect. And I kind of plan to keep that little bag and to keep a sock tube, because here's another thing I'm going on about that I didn't need to, because I said I was going to go. I'll be going out somewhere, and we might be going out for a meal, or we might be going out for a drink, or we might be going out shopping, and I'm going to sit in the car while Dave goes into a shop that I'm not interested in. And then I spend ages swapping about. Well, I'll take this. No, that's too big. I'll take that. Oh, but I've nearly finished that bit. If I've just got that little bag in my handbag with some probably sock yarn scraps that I'm making a sock tube out of, I'm sorted. I don't have to worry about it. It's there until I finish the sock tube, and then I'll cast on another one. That's my plan. Trying to organise, trying to stash down, I think they call it, rather than de-stash, because de-stash implies you're getting rid of your yarn. I'm just trying to work my way through some of it, including leftovers, and yeah, so that's that plan. I'm gonna go now. I'm missing Zoom, and also I need coffee, so I'm going to go and do those things. I'm going to leave you alone, and I will see you again next week, where I will, I promise, have finished this blanket and then bore you half to death with its sister. Okay, so until I see you next week, guys, happy knitting.